Thomas. I heard you recording. I heard a lot of note mistakes in it, but I'm not interested in that. I want to help you take your Etude number 5 to the next level. One of the common things that I've heard from my students for a long time is that in number 5 you all cut off the length of the last note of the slur. So if I can draw it for you, you have a tongued note and another tongue note that begins a series of slurred notes. Yes? But each and every one of them has the same value, whether it's a regular tongue note, like I'll put a T for tongue for now. Here's another tongue note, but this tongue note is the beginning of a slur, where you play all of these notes under one breath. Your mistake is that you are making the last note of a slurred phrase, staccato, or even worse, sometimes there's this symbol, a caret on the top, which means really, really short and accented. You're going da 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 ha da 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 short da 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 short da 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 short. If you listen back to the recording that you sent to me, you'll hear this is the trouble spot, and that's what we're focusing on in the lesson. Each and every one of these notes has the same value, rhythmic value. They're all 16th notes. So the task is to make them all equal length. Whether they're tongued, and then slurred, or under the slur, they should be all the same. If I can demonstrate, I recommend you take it slower too so you can get all of the notes. You sounded okay in the beginning, but as you got further and further, the notes, you missed more and more notes. Which leads me to believe you did not start at the end and go all the way back to the beginning in the very focused, measured way that we talked about in the last lesson. It shows because you can't fake this kind of stuff. You have to do it in a very regimented way. And no amount of trying is going to solve the problem. We have to be critical thinkers and apply it very scientifically. So, from the beginning, let's work on this first problem. Two things that are better. Number one, the last note is long, just like the other notes. And number two, it's not overly accented. We have the problem of register projection, which is that on our instrument, the higher notes pop out louder than the lower notes. One of the rules of music in the classical and Baroque era is that the last note of the slur is definitely not accented dynamically. It's softer. And so we have the problem of one of our high notes needing to be softer because it's the last note of the phrase. Not. That's what I heard in the recording, all the way through. Now, the next thing is if you want to get the notes, you have to do it at a slow enough pace that you're hearing it before it actually happens in the world and not just responding to a piece of paper. What we do as composers is we put dots on paper so that we can inform people what the blueprint of the music is. But in no way is this music. This is a symbol. Music is the sound, the actual sound that comes out in the real world. And so if you're not playing the right notes, it means you're not understanding the instructions on the page. Some musicians in certain cultures around the world don't even have the written music in front of them. It's all oral tradition, such as in India. If your father was a sitar player, then you as the son would take on that gift from your father, and you'd learn in a guru system. Guru means teacher. And you'd have to listen to your father sitting down with you 6 hours a day and going back and forth until you've absorbed into your mind all of the knowledge that's necessary to go out and then teach other people or to perform. In classical music, we have a literacy issue. You need to first learn how to read the symbols, and then once we've learned how to read the symbols, we have to train our fingers to do what's on the page. And oftentimes we want to rush the process, basically. And I understand because I Didn't have so much of that problem when I was younger, but I saw that all around me. And what I want to encourage all of my students to do in this process is to just slow it down. You'll have the rest of your life to play flute. There is no rush, because if you rush and you don't pick up the actual skills, then you'll just get older instead of older and better at the musician, as a musician. So all in all, it wasn't a bad first try through, but in today's lesson I'll talk about how I, as a musician, encourage my students to do what's not ordinary. What the usual way of practicing is not, number one, it's not as efficient, and number two, the ordinary way of practicing, just getting through something, is not going to last you a long time. So, good. Just focus on those tiny details, and I'll see you later today for your lesson. Good luck and happy practicing.